What's up? Welcome back to Wiffleball Weekly. I'm your host, Barry McCockiner. Today I am not alongside my longtime analyst, Brooks Walton. He's feeling a little under the weather, so I am joined by my other analyst, Tito. Tito, how are we doing today?
So, Barry, I've been missing since that football broadcast. Feeling great, coming off a 3-month bender. Ready to analyze some Wiffleball here.
Yeah, obviously we got a lot to talk about this week. First, we're going to go into the 69ers. Wish Brooks was here to talk him down like he always does. You know he hates that team. But glad to have Tito here. So 69ers, obviously, they did lose a game last week to the Panyu Raiders in the last game of the 3-game series. They won the first two, however. But it is kind of a heartbreak. We wish the undefeated story kept going, but it is now over. Obviously, they didn't show up there at the plate as much, not scoring runs like they usually do. Cole Howard wasn't really there at the plate. Jackson showed up like he usually does. Jacob McCann wasn't really there at the plate. But they did happen to pull out 2 wins in the series. So, Tito, what are your thoughts on the 69ers?
Yeah, Barry, the 69ers are quite a club. They got Cole Howard, the probably going to be MVP. He really hits the ball well, pitches well for his team. You got Jackson Peters. He's now being exchanged for Wesley Avery. Wesley Avery was a force in the league last year. I really see him contributing, hitting some home runs, maybe coming in for some saves if Cole Howard needs a little break. We don't want Tommy John this early in the season. Jacob McCann, he's a contributing player. He really makes some nice plays in the field. He gets those nice base knocks, lots of walks, good on base percentage. So, I think the 69ers are a really good overall team. You really got to play well to beat them. Last week, Connor Watson and Jordan McTeers really kind of pitched well, so really kind of hurt their hitting, So, I don't know. We'll see what happens this week, Barry.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see the transition they have with Wesley instead of Jackson. Obviously, Jackson came out of the gates on fire at the plate. Way better than what people thought he was going to do. But Wesley, obviously, like you said last year, he was a force in the league, so they should be just fine. That'll help Cole out on the mound also. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that plays out, especially with Jackson being All-Star eligible. Jackson might be in the All-Star game, not on a roster. So this brings to the next team, the second-place team, the Panyu Raiders, now 6-6. They did beat the 69ers in a game, handed them their first loss of the season, so that was some upside. Connor pitched really good on the mound, even though the record doesn't show that. B-Mart, Jordan also chipped in on the mound. What are your thoughts on the Panyu Raiders?
Yeah, Barry, those Panyu Raiders, they're one of those really well-developed clubs. You got the former Cy Young Award pitcher, and Connor Watson really kind of deals out there on the mound. You got B-Mart, he can come in to pitch maybe game 2, game 3 for you. Good starter, good reliever. Really last year, great hitter. He's showing up this year, but we kind of expected a little more out of him. B-Mart's a great player. He's definitely going to heat up eventually. When is the question, Jordan McTeries, at the plate this year, off the charts. No one expected him to be this way, but he is. So Jordan McTeries, he's one of those players on the watch list that really you kind of double take at, So really looking forward to how these Panyu Raiders go on this season. They play the Blue Ballers again. They swept them last series that they played them. So looking forward to this week to see how the Panyu Raiders perform after, beating the undefeated team last week.
Yeah, I feel like I say this every week, but Connor's always going to be consistently good in this league. And then I just think the expectations for B-Mart were way too high. Everybody thought he was going to come in this year and hit 600 with 40 bombs, and that's just unrealistic stats for, anybody. And then Jordan, obviously, he got off to a really hot start. He's starting to cool down a little bit, but, he's doing way more than what people expected, both at the plate and especially on the mound. He pitched really good against the 69ers last week. Their whole pitching staff did, whole team did. So the next team, the SemiPros, in third place at 5-7. Obviously, they started 1-5, and they're 4-2 since with 2 series wins, so that's big. Obviously, they have to play the 69ers this week, so that might be tough for them. But, who knows? Anything can happen in this league. So I want you to talk about the SemiPros for me, Tito.
Yeah, Barry, the SemiPros are quite the interesting team. They started out the season 1-5, a lot of games back. They've won their last 2 series, went 4-2 in their last 6 games. I really think they really just struggled to find some pitching early on in the season, Reese didn't really show up, really didn't pitch well. Smitty was always kind of consistent, always at game 2. Kind of threw him in some game 1 situations. He's kind of showing up. And then last series, we got Luke Baker picking up a dub on the mound. That's just unbelievable. The Ole Miss commit for baseball, just really showing up in the wiffle ball world. We really just really interested to see how these semi-pros do. I think if they pitch a little better, they keep on scoring runs, which they weren't doing in the beginning of the season. I think the semi-pros could maybe do a little better. Yeah, so I mean the 69ers, of course, tough test. They're gonna have to pitch better. They're gonna have to score runs. So basically, they're really gonna have to play some perfect wiffleball out there tomorrow to really show up and give 69ers a good run. But it'll be interesting.
Yeah, it'll be a tough test for them this week or tomorrow for sure. Obviously, the 69ers have proven that everybody has to come out and play their best to beat them. So the last team in the standings, the Blue Ballers. Obviously, they went on a 9-game losing streak there to push themselves to 1-9, but they did get a win against the semi-pros last week in the first game, but then started a new losing streak in the last two, so they're sitting at 2-10 now. There's not much to say about them. I can't figure out what the problem is. They got a great roster, they got great baseball background on their team with Matt Moss, Josh Fowler, and D-Row. They all played high-level baseball. I just think they're struggling to finish games. Obviously, like I said last week, they have trouble blowing leads. They're lucky. Obviously, they ruled the semi-pros in the first game, so they didn't really have a chance to blow it. I don't think they would have anyway. They were up by 10. But even in the second game, they blew the lead. They were up 5-3 in the second and ended up losing 11-8 or something. So I think their problem right now is just – I can't even figure out their problem. I don't know what to tell you. So just give me your thoughts on the Blue Ballers.
Yeah, Barry, the Blue Ballers just like you said, man, they have great baseball background, all played high-level baseball, really good athletes on their team, You're almost kind of waiting for when they start hitting win streaks, getting on the field, flying around making some plays, as we used to say back in the day. Last week, Brooks Wallen predicted that they'd be swept, but they weren't. They actually won the game, broke the losing streak that no one really felt like was going to end. They really picked up the bats in that series. David Rowe, hot bat. Matt Moss hits 4 home runs. You kind of see some good pitching, man. You're gonna see some wins go up on the board if they keep on swinging like that. So Blue Ballers have really high expectations, just like you said. Good athletes, good baseball backgrounds. And just when are they gonna pick up on this wiffleball thing and really start producing at the plate and producing on the mound? Really looking forward to seeing this team in the future. High potential for sure.
Yeah, obviously no one knows the solution to their problem right now. Obviously they don't either, otherwise they would fix it. They have the runs, they have the athletes on the team. The pitching could be there. They pitch good enough to win games. They just can't seem to do it. Hopefully they can turn it around this week before the AllStar Game. So that brings us to our next point, the AllStar Game. Obviously this is the last series before the AllStar break, the Home Run Derby, and then the actual game itself. Right now, the Home Run Derby would be Cole, Reese, Josh, and Connor if it was tomorrow. But anything can happen in this next series this weekend. So if you had to choose your All-Star rosters right now, who are you choosing?
Yeah, Barry, this All-Star Weekend's really going to put on a show for the people. We have a big surprise for everyone, but we aren't going to leak it to the public yet. But it was just in breaking news from Barry McCockiner. As for the All-Star rosters, I think the obvious choices are the 4 captains. They're really producing for their teams. We got Cole Howard, we got Reese, we got Connor Watson, and we got Matt Moss representing each team. As for the 5th and 6th spot, it really is up in the air right now. We got I'd say Josh Fowler is a solid place in this All-Star game. He's really hitting well for the Blue Ballers. He's really producing at the plate. If you ask the pitchers around the league, he's really one of those hard hitters to face. You don't really want to pitch to him. He really hits lots of home runs, gets on base a lot. For the 6th spot, I'd have to say it's Brandon Martin, for the Panyu Raiders. People don't think he's playing that well this year, but it's really just expectations. If you look at the stats, he's really up there on his team. He's really up there in the league as well. So I'd have to say the 6 right there are Reese, Cole, Connor, Matt, B-Mart, and Josh Fowler. So, I think it's going to be a great show for the people. So tune in for the All-Star Game for sure.
Yeah, that sounds like a really possible list. I think right now almost everybody in the league can make their own case for the All-Star Game. Like you said, there is a big surprise for everybody. Not going to leak it yet, though. And then the All-Star rosters will be released next Wiffleball Weekly, next Thursday, 2 days before the All-Star Game. So tune in for that. So that brings us to our next topic. if you didn't see on our Instagram, the season did get extended to 36 regular season games, so that's 2 more series for each team. And the trade deadline also got extended to July 4th, so it's now a set date instead of after a certain amount of games. How do you think that'll play out for each team? You think it's a positive or a negative?
Yeah, Barry, extending the season by 6 games really gives teams that are a chance in like races for different seeds a chance to really prove themselves and maybe hop a team to maybe, increase seeds. So go from like a 3 to a 2 or a 4 from a 3. That's a huge difference, So I think just extending the season really just gives teams like a better chance to prove themselves, maybe fix some things up before the playoffs. I think it's a good idea.
All right, well, that's going to wrap up our show today. Tito, you got anything else to say?
No, Barry, I really don't have anything to say. I just want to thank you for having me on the show today. It's really a great opportunity for me. Really looking forward to be on the show in the future weeks, maybe next week, who knows. All right, Barry, signing off. This is Tito.
Oh, it was all my pleasure, Tito. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, follow our Instagram, all that good stuff. Thanks for watching again, and we'll tune in next week for another episode of Wiffleball Weekly.